Hello guys and welcome to Daily Market Movements. Welcome to another episode where today we're going to be analysing the NASDAQ 100 futures chart. Just before I start today's video, I just want to give you a quick shout out to my Instagram page for those who enjoy watching my videos. I know that there's many of you who wait for me to post my videos on a daily basis. I would highly advise that you go and follow my Instagram account, Daily Market Movements. Here I post loads of motivational content, latest breaking news with regards to stocks and the markets. So please do head over to Instagram and give me a follow, especially if you do like the content that I post. I do send out loads of stock picks, for example, loads of trading tips, and as I mentioned before, just loads of motivational content to kind of keep you all engaged. But back to the NASDAQ 100. NASDAQ 100 actually had a very good trading session yesterday, okay? We started the day down 2.2% due to the action that we saw on Monday when the markets were shut, and of course the volatile headlines that we've been receiving from Russia and Ukraine. Now yesterday we had several Western countries come out and slap a load of sanctions on Russia because of course they've sent troops as peacekeepers, which I'm sure many Western countries don't believe is true. It is, it's seen as many. It's seen to many as the beginning of the invasion into the eastern part of Ukraine. So, of course, that did cause some volatility. But I think it's very important to understand that, even though what's going on in Russia at this moment in time is very, it's very concerning and very worrying and bad, it actually doesn't really affect US corporations as much as you'd actually think, okay? Russia and US don't really do too much business together. I think, the one aspect where it could potentially infect the US economy would be due to inflation, okay? If Russia was to cut off all their oil supplies, it would probably cause crude oil to spike higher, and of course that would see a massive negative effect on US corporations, US consumers, etc. So I think from a crude oil perspective, yes, it kind of does, but I think it's very important to understand that the US only imports a very small amount of Russian crude oil. So, US operate on their own crude oil. I don't think there will ever be a situation where the US has run out of crude oil. That wouldn't happen, but it could potentially spike the overall price of crude oil, meaning that the price for the consumers and for corporations in US could go higher, and of course inflation that could potentially spike. But if anything, it actually is kind of a good thing because many investors were actually calling for a 50-point rate hike in March. But I'm already starting to see headlines that, with regards to what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, it may actually have to tame the rate hikes just for the short term. So meaning that instead of getting 50 points, we might only get 25 points. And I think that is probably the most likely outcome as we go into March. So if it keeps rates lower for a longer time, fair enough, that should be seen as a massive positive. And this is something that I was saying back in January of 2022. I said, I really do not see 7 to 8 rate hikes this year. I don't even see 6, and this is due to the fact there are many potential bad things that could potentially happen going through 2022. Okay, we still have COVID looming. COVID hasn't disappeared. Yes, several governments around the world have come out and said that we're not going to be wearing masks anymore, and we're going back. We're going to learn how to live with COVID. But if there was a new variant tomorrow, let's say, and it was a lot more infectious, then these rules would come back into place. And of course, I mentioned about the tensions between Russia and Ukraine, and now that they have intensified, this may sway the Fed's decision with regards to hiking interest rates at a rapid pace. So I only see 25 points hike in March. Of course, I think the markets will cheer that, especially the NASDAQ 100. So I think it should be seen as a positive. But from a technical point of view, guys, let's just have a look at the NASDAQ 100. I mentioned yesterday that we are currently forming this beautiful looking W pattern, and this is kind of where we're at right now. We did see a bounce yesterday. Big question is this the start of that that last stage of this W pattern where we kind of go in a trend like this? It might not be as steep as that, of course. It might be more like that. Is this the start, or is this just a short-term rally where we eventually break down lower and form that that more of a B, C correction where, of course, the C leg, we don't really know how low it could potentially go. It could go down to 13,500, could go down to 13,000. We do not know. But at this moment in time, we have bounced. I can only look at this market from a day-to-day perspective. And yesterday, we did see a nice bounce. And what I'm looking for in the market today is whether we can add to yesterday's gains. If we can break above 14,000 as this large psychological figure, I think that's a positive. And it's all about aiming back towards that 14,444 area, which is that 0.23% fib level. In fact, we could even drag this down to here now. And that kind of brings you down a little bit lower, down to around 14,360. So can we, go back to that 0.236 fib level? And if we can break above that, well, then of course the next fib level is up at 0.382, and that's where the 50 and the 200-day EMA is. But also, this is very important. We are pretty much forming that crossover, that death cross. At this moment in time, we haven't formed it yet, but probably within the next day or two, that will get formed. And as I've mentioned from the research that I've done during yesterday's video, that typically in the indices, and only the indices, when a death cross occurs, it actually represents a fantastic buying opportunity. The US indices, you only have to really zoom out to understand why that is, and that's because they've just been going up and up for decades now. And if there is a death cross, it's very short-lived, and then what you do tend to see is a bounce in the market with a 50-day EMA piercing back above the 200-day EMA, forecasting or predicting a more bullish trend medium to longer term. So I see at this moment in time, I think where we're trading at right now is a fantastic buying opportunity. But as I mentioned yesterday, just wait for a day or two, or perhaps wait until the end of this week. Sure, the market could bounce up towards 14,400 going into next week, but you've still got a significant amount of upside here for the NASDAQ 100. So wait for the dust to settle. Make sure we get that confirmation that we have bounced significantly and we've broken above that 14,400. And this is an area where I would be willing to buy the NASDAQ 100. Not so much here. I do expect more volatility to occur, whether that be through announcements between Ukraine and Russia or the Fed with regards to the interest rate hike. So I am bullish in the NASDAQ 100. It just requires a little bit of patience, and patience is exactly what I'm going to have to be here in order to make some money. So I do like the NASDAQ 100, and I think it will offer a fantastic buying opportunity in the short term. And that is going to wrap it up for today's video. But just before I let you leave, I just want to quickly show you our brand new streaming service. We've recently launched this website that you can see in front of you. This is where we provide in-depth analysis videos as well as trading signals via our Telegram group chat. Once subscribed, you'll then have access to all of our in-depth analysis videos as well as access to our private Telegram group chat. We cover various markets such as commodities, US stocks, indices, and cryptocurrencies. We also have a video category where we provide educational content so that you can improve your trading skills. If this sounds appealing to you, then you can find our website link in the description of this YouTube video at dailymarketmovements.com. If not, then I would just like to take this time to say thank you for watching today's YouTube video. Please give my channel a subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon.